Many years ago, before the world became what we know today, the sun was not high in the sky. He did not shine from far away. Instead, he lived right here on earth, close to the people, close to the trees, close to the rivers, close to every living thing. The sun was a gentle being back then. His light was soft, warm like the embrace of a mother. Children could run around him and laugh. Birds sat on his shoulders without fear. The villagers spoke to him the way they spoke to one another. In Umura village, the sun was loved more than anything else. The people said he brought life to their crops, strength to their bodies, and light to their hearts. Every morning, when the first cock crowed, the sun rose slowly from his small hut made of glowing stones. His rays stretched like arms welcoming the world. Women came out with their calabash pots, greeting him. Farmers bowed before going to the fields. Hunters thanked him before entering the forest. The sun felt at home. He felt loved. But things began to change when the seasons shifted. For many years, the rains came early and left early. The earth hardened, and the villagers begged the sun to stay longer in the sky so their crops could grow. Being kind, the sun agreed. He began to shine a little hotter and a little longer each day to help them. At first, the villagers celebrated. Our crops will grow taller than the trees, they said. And truly, the maize rose high, the yams swelled, and the cassava plants stood proudly. But as the days grew hotter, the people forgot that they had begged the sun for help. They began to complain. This heat is too much. Our skin is burning. The sun is punishing us. The sun heard every word. One afternoon, as the villagers were resting, a group of young men gathered under a mango tree. "Why is the sun still here?" one of them said angrily. "He is too hot," another grumbled. "He wants to destroy us," a third spat. The sun sat outside his glowing hut and listened. His bright heart dimmed. He had stayed longer because they asked. He had given more heat because they needed their crops to live. But now, the people spoke to him like he was their enemy. That evening, when the sun tried to rise gently, the villagers shouted at him from their huts. "Go away. You are too much for us. Leave our land." Their voices were sharp, unkind, and painful. The sun lowered himself back into his hut, trembling with hurt. He wondered how the same people who once loved him could suddenly turn their hearts so quickly. And that night, for the first time in history, the sun did not rise. The world fell into a darkness so deep that even the bravest hunters were afraid. Umira village sat in silence, unaware of the consequences their words had created. Something had broken. And the world would soon feel the weight of it. Darkness covered Umira village like a thick blanket. The cock crowed, but no light followed. Mothers woke up confused. Fathers stepped outside their huts and looked at the sky, waiting for the warm glow they had known all their lives. But the sun did not rise. The goats bleated restlessly. The chickens refused to leave their coops. Even the wind moved softly, as if afraid of the strange darkness. The villagers lit their fireplaces early, hoping the sun would return with the next heartbeat, but the sky remained black. Hours passed, and the darkness stayed. Children clung to their mothers. Hunters refused to enter the forest. Everything felt wrong, like the world had forgotten how to breathe. Inside the chief's hut, the elders gathered. Their faces glowed red from the firelight, but their eyes carried fear. "This has never happened," Elder Okonkwo said, his voice shaking. "The sun is angry," another elder whispered. Chief Namdi, the oldest among them, leaned on his staff. "The sun has heard our insults." Silence filled the room. Meanwhile, outside, the villagers murmured in small groups. "Why did we tell the sun to go away? We didn't know he would take it so seriously. Maybe he has left us forever." The night dragged on. Hours felt like days. The cold began creeping into bones, into huts, into hearts. Without the sun's warmth, the air turned sharp and unfriendly. Babies cried. Pregnant women shivered. Farmers couldn't walk. Even the rivers grew quieter, as though the water missed the touch of light. By the second day of darkness, fear turned into panic. Crops began to weaken. The leaves curled. The soil, once rich and warm, turned cold and lifeless. The village healer shook his head sorrowfully. Without heat, our plants would die. The villagers gathered in the square with torches, their flames trembling in the wind. Everyone looked to the chief. Our words chased the sun away, the chief said. And now the earth is suffering. What shall we do? The people cried. We must find the sun, Chief Namdi said firmly. We must apologize. But where is he? Someone asked. An elder stepped forward. My grandmother once said the sun can hide in the cave of silence when his heart is broken. A gasp spread through the crowd. The cave of silence lay deep within the forest, a place no one had dared to enter for generations. Many believed spirits lived there. Some said shadows whispered. Others said the cave swallowed sound and trapped souls. Fear swelled in every chest. Yet, the chief stood tall. We have no choice. If the sun does not return, we will all perish. He looked around the circle of frightened faces. Who will go with me? The villagers looked at one another, afraid to speak. The cave was forbidden. Entering it was almost like entering death itself. Then, from the back of the crowd, a small voice rose. I will go. Everyone turned to see a young boy, thin, barefoot, no older than 12. His name was Kolechi. His bright eyes shone with something no adult had, courage mixed with innocence. You, the elders asked, shocked. Yes, Kolechi said. The sun is my friend. I always greet him every morning. Maybe he will listen to me. The chief nodded slowly. A child's heart is pure. The sun may hear him better than any of us. Kolechi stepped forward, holding a small clay lamp. I will go to the cave of silence. I will find the sun and beg him to return. The villagers stared in awe. Some prayed for him. Some cried. Some doubted he would ever return. But Kolechi lifted his lamp and walked toward the dark forest, alone. And Amira village watched as their only hope disappeared into the shadows. The night still refused to end. Kolechi stepped into the forest with trembling legs, but his heart pushed him forward. The clay lamp in his hand gave a small circle of light, barely enough to show the path. Behind him, the voices of the villagers faded until only the sound of rustling leaves remained. The forest felt different without the sun. The trees stood like tall, sad giants. The birds were quiet. Even the insects hid. A chilling wind brushed against Kolechi's skin, whispering through the branches. Still, he walked. Every few steps, he whispered to himself, I must find the sun. I must save my village. Hours passed. The night felt endless. Time did not move. Kolechi could no longer tell whether it was midnight or morning, because the world was trapped in one long, heavy darkness. At last, he reached a narrow, rocky path. Ahead of him stood a tall rock formation shaped like a giant's mouth, the entrance of the cave of silence. Kolechi froze. The cave looked alive. It seemed to breathe. The fog surrounding it curled like ghostly fingers. No sound came from inside, not even the echo of the wind. He swallowed hard. My grandmother said no one enters this cave and returns, he whispered to himself. The lamp flame flickered nervously. But then he remembered the crying babies in the village, the dying crops, the cold creeping into every home. He remembered the sun's warmth touching his face every morning. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside. The shadow hall. The moment he entered, the sound of the outside world disappeared completely. His footsteps made no noise. Even his breathing was silent. The cave swallowed every sound like a hungry creature. Kolechi's heart raced. He could feel it beating, but he could not hear it. The walls of the cave glowed faintly, covered in strange drawing circles, flames, tall figures kneeling before a bright shape. He realized these were ancient people praying to the sun. The deeper he walked, the colder it became. Frost formed on the stones. The lamp flame grew weaker, as if scared. Suddenly, Kolechi saw movement. Dark shapes slid across the walls, long, thin silhouettes that moved like whispers. They had no eyes, no faces, just shadows. They floated silently, watching him. Kolechi stopped breathing. One shadow drifted close to him, touching the small flame of his lamp. The flame shrank, almost dying. Kolechi held the lamp close to his chest. "Please. I'm only looking for the sun." His voice made no sound. He felt tears burn in his eyes. The shadows moved aside slowly, as though they understood. A narrow path opened for him. He bowed his head and walked through the heart of the cave. After what felt like hours, Kolechi reached a huge chamber. In the center was a glowing ball of dim light pulsing, sad, tired. It was the sun. But he was no longer bright. His golden rays were faint, like a dying candle. He sat cowed within himself, glowing just enough to be seen. Kolechi dropped to his knees, tears rolling down his face. "Great sun," he cried, though the cave swallowed the sound. The sun felt it. "Please, come back. The world needs you. The village is suffering. We are sorry." The sun slowly lifted his face. His eyes were dull, lacking their once blazing strength. "Why have you come, child?" the sun asked, his voice vibrating gently through the air. Kolechi stood. "Because I am not afraid of you. Because you are our friend. Because we spoke to you with anger, and we should not have." The sun closed his eyes, remembering the hurtful words. "They forgot my love," the sun whispered. "They forgot all I gave to them." Kolechi stepped forward. "Not all of us forgot. I didn't forget." The sun's weak rays reached toward the boy, brushing his face. "You are brave," the sun said. "But I cannot return. If I rise again, the people may insult me once more." "No," Kolechi said firmly. "Things have changed. Everyone in the village is waiting. They are cold. They are crying. They are praying for you." The sun's light flickered. "But what if they hurt me again?" Kolechi placed his small hand on the glowing light, even though it was warm like fire. He did not pull back. "I will protect you," he said with all his heart. "And the whole village will honor you. Please, don't leave us in darkness." For a long time, the sun was silent. Then slowly, very slowly, the sun began to brighten. Light filled the chamber. The shadows shrank against the walls. The cave trembled with warmth. Kolechi shielded his eyes as the sun rose from the ground, glowing brighter, stronger, more alive. "You have spoken truth," the sun said. "You have touched my heart. I will return to the sky." Kolechi sobbed with relief. "But," the sun continued, "I will no longer live on earth. I will stay far above, watching from the heavens." Kolechi nodded. "As long as you shine on us, we will be grateful." The sun lifted higher and higher, filling the cave with blinding golden light. When the brightness faded, the sun was gone, already rising toward the sky. Kolechi collapsed in exhaustion, but tears of joy covered his face. The world would have light again. When the sun rose from the cave of silence and began his journey back into the sky, the world trembled with awakening. Light, soft at first, then brighter, stretched across the land like a warm blanket being pulled over a shivering child. Back in Umira village, the darkness that had swallowed the land for days began to fade. Chickens crowed loudly, louder than ever. Goats bleated. Birds burst from the trees, singing joyfully as if announcing a miracle. Women ran outside their huts, staring at the faint golden light appearing on the horizon. "Look," one shouted. "It cannot be," cried another. The men dropped their tools, falling to their knees. Children pointed with wide, amazed eyes. The sun is coming back." But Chief Namdi did not celebrate yet. He lifted his old, trembling hands toward the light. "He is rising, but where is the boy? Where is Kolechi?" The villagers gasped. In their fear and excitement, they had forgotten that the brave boy had not yet returned. "If the sun has risen," the chief said, "then he must have found Kolechi. But has the boy survived the cave of silence?" Silence fell again, this time filled with worry. The sun in the sky once more. As the sun climbed higher and higher, his rays grew brighter. But unlike before, he did not settle on the earth. He remained far above, gently warming the land, lighting the world with soft, life-giving brilliance. The crops lifted their drooping leaves. The cold retreated. The river sparkled. Everything breathed again. But the sun spoke from the sky with a voice that touched every heart. "My people of Umira, I have returned because of the courage and kindness of one child. Never again shall I dwell on earth. I will shine from above, and you will honor my light." The villagers fell on their faces and cried, "We will honor you. Forgive us, great sun. We are sorry." The sun's rays grew warmer, accepting their apology. Yet worry remained. What had happened to Kolechi? Kolechi's return. Hours passed, and still no sign of the boy. The villagers stood at the forest edge, waiting. Some prayed. Some cried quietly. Mothers held their children close, hoping their own sons would grow up brave like Kolechi. Then, from the shadows of the forest path, a small figure appeared. It was him. Kolechi. His clothes were dusty. His feet were scraped. His clay lamp was still in his hand, its flame long dead. But his face carried the glow of hope and pride. "Kolechi," the villagers shouted, rushing toward him. His mother reached him first, falling to her knees and holding him tightly. She sobbed into his shoulder. "My son. My brave son. You returned." Kolechi smiled weakly. "Mama, the sun heard us." The chief placed a hand on the boy's head. "You have saved this village. Your courage warmed even the heart of the sun." The elders gathered around him. "You are one of the greatest heroes Umira has ever known," Elder Okonkwo said. Others lifted him onto their shoulders. Children danced around him. Women ululated with joy. Men beat their drums and flutes in celebration. But in the sky, the sun watched quietly. Where before his rays were harsh and close, now they were gentle and distant, shining with deep affection. He remembered Kolechi's words, the touch of the small hand on his weakened light. Because of that child, he had chosen not to abandon the world. The Festival of Light. That evening, the villagers prepared a great feast. Yam porridge cooked in large clay pots. Palm wine flowed. Musicians played drums, flutes, and talking drums. Children twirled around in circles, shouting, "Kolechi, the boy who brought back the sun." The chief declared that from that day on, every year they would celebrate the Festival of Light, honoring the sun and remembering the bravery of the boy who entered the cave of silence. As night came, the sun shifted below the horizon, leaving the moon to watch over the land. But everyone knew he would rise again the next day, not as a being walking among them, but as the guardian of the sky. Kolechi sat quietly at the edge of the celebration, watching the horizon glow softly. His mother sat beside him. "Are you all right?" He nodded. "Mama, the sun is not angry anymore." She touched his cheek. Because of you. Kolechi looked up at the stars. No, because the sun still loves us. The world had changed. The sun no longer lived on earth. But he had returned to his rightful place and the people learned to honor his light. The only thing left was one final lesson, one final chapter in this tale. The next morning, Umira village woke up differently. Children stretched their arms toward the sunlight as if touching a long-lost friend. Mothers opened their windows and let the warm rays pour into their huts. Farmers hurried into their fields, whispering prayers of thanks as they saw their crops lifting their heads again. And high above, the sun shone proudly, not too close, not too far, just as a guardian should. Life slowly returned to normal, yet the village was not the same. The darkness they had lived through had taught them something powerful: nothing is too common to be disrespected. Even the sun can be hurt. Even blessings can be withdrawn. The elders gathering. That afternoon, the chief gathered everyone at the village square. The talking drum echoed through the air, calling every man, woman, and child to assemble. When the crowd settled, the chief stepped forward. "People of Umira," he said, his voice steady and clear, "what happened in these past days must never be forgotten." The villagers nodded. Even the children stood quietly. "We insulted the sun. We thought he would always be here. We took his warmth, his light, his gifts for granted. And because of our carelessness, the world fell into darkness." The chief pointed at Kolechi, who stood shyly beside his mother. "But this boy reminded us of something powerful. Respect. Gratitude. Humility." The villagers clapped, some wiping tears from their eyes. "He is young," the chief continued, "yet he was brave enough to enter the cave of silence, a place where even grown men fear to step." The elders nodded in agreement. "For this," Chief Namdi said, lifting his hand, "Kolechi will forever be remembered as Kolechi the Lightbringer." The crowd erupted with joy. Kolechi lowered his head shyly, but inside his heart beat proudly. The sun's message. As the celebration quieted, a warm glow suddenly surrounded the square. The villagers looked up. A single ray of sunlight gently descended, touching Kolechi's shoulder like a father resting his hand on a child. Then a soft voice filled the air, not loud, but heard by every living soul. "People of Umira, listen." The villagers dropped to their knees. Even the wind stopped moving. "I dwell in the sky now," the sun said, "and I will shine on you every day. But do not forget, light is a gift, not a birthright." His voice softened. "Honor the earth. Honor the trees. Honor one another. Speak with kindness. Respect every blessing, for what you dishonor may walk away." Then the ray lifted gently and vanished into the heavens. A deep silence followed, not cold, not fearful, but peaceful, filled with understanding. Kolechi's growing legend. Years passed, and Kolechi grew taller, stronger, and wiser. His story traveled far beyond Umira. Traders carried it to neighboring villages. Hunters told the tale around their fires. Storytellers recited it to children beneath moonlit evenings. No matter where it was told, the message remained the same. When the sun left the world, it was a child who brought him back. Kolechi never boasted. He lived quietly, helping the villagers, teaching younger children bravery and respect. Sometimes, when he stood in the fields and raised his face to the sky, the sun's light seemed a little brighter, as if smiling at him. The Festival of Light. Every year, on the day the sun returned, the villagers celebrated the Festival of Light. They lit lanterns shaped like the sun. They told the story again and again so future generations would never forget. Children acted out the tale, one pretending to be the sun, another playing Kolechi, others being villagers running in panic. Women cooked special meals. Men played drums deep into the night. And when the sky turned dark, everyone lifted their lanterns and whispered, "Thank you, Great Sunday." The lesson the world kept. This story of Omura village became more than a tale. It became a reminder to the world. Respect your blessings. Show gratitude. Speak gently. Value what keeps you alive. For even the sun mighty, bright, and powerful can hear your words. And even the smallest child quiet, gentle, and humble can save an entire world. And so the villagers lived in peace, always honoring the light in the sky and the bravery of the boy who walked into darkness to bring hope back to the world. The sun shone brightly. The people lived wisely. And the story lived forever. The end.